Welcome to the Business English Podcast, but more importantly, welcome back to the second part in our How to Communicate Not Interrogate series. A two-part series dedicated to ensuring professionals are equipped with the necessary phrases and tips in order to walk that thin line between being overbearing and rude in their communication and not coming across as effective or professional enough to get the job done. It's a tricky one. I give you that, and it is a challenge that so many professionals face, both native and non-native, so it is crucial for all of us to take a few moments to familiarise ourselves with these techniques. Because if we are unaware of these techniques that help us communicate more effectively, and perhaps our colleague or competitor has a better understanding of them, we may very well miss out on building that key relationship or landing that project or contract that changes everything for us. In the world of professional communication and operating on the international business stage, ignorance is not an excuse when it comes to offending someone by being unprofessional or rude. So, if you haven't already, do go back and listen to the first part of this series, which will give you a plethora of phrases and advice for taking the sting out of your professional communication and ensuring effective and succinct dialogue. As a quick recap, the topics we covered in the first part of this series were understanding interrogative and conversational approaches, learning how to ask open-ended questions and some phrases to help with active listening, and phrases for building rapport and showing empathy. As we've already said, do go back and listen to it if you haven't already, as it sets the stage for the following final two sections. Now, with you sufficiently read in, let's crack on with the second part of this series on how to communicate and not interrogate. So, what do we have in store? Well, firstly, on this episode, we're going to be looking at the fantastic and highly effective skill for paraphrasing and summarizing. This will help bring strength and clarity into your communication, especially when things are getting a bit complicated or you feel that you're getting a bit lost. Then we will move on to a number of phrases that help us balance inquiry and advocacy. These phrases will help show your audience your willingness to listen and engage, whilst enabling you to put forward your own ideas in an impactful yet professional way. We shall then bring the whole series to a close by whipping through a quick recap of all the topics we've covered in this series to, hopefully, reinforce your understanding of the different concepts. So, with such astounding high-quality content laying ahead of us, let's step off, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Business English Podcast. Helping professionals communicate more effectively, more confidently, and with impact. With your host, Rob, from Energetic English. Let's get down to business. Now, as we have just mentioned, we shall begin today's episode with two powerful techniques that can significantly enhance the clarity and effectiveness of your business communication. Paraphrasing and summarizing. Both of these techniques involve restating the information or ideas shared by your conversation partner, but with slightly different purposes. Paraphrasing is the process of rewording what someone else has said to demonstrate your understanding and ensure you have correctly grasped their message. Summarizing, on the other hand, involves condensing the main points of a longer conversation or discussion to provide a clear and concise overview of the key takeaways. Let's start with paraphrasing. Here are some phrases that you can use to effectively paraphrase what your conversation partner has said. Now, as ever, I shall repeat twice before pausing for you to work your magic. Okay, here we go. 1. If I understand correctly, you're suggesting that we... Restate suggestion. Is that accurate? If I understand correctly, you're suggesting that we... Restate suggestion. Is that accurate? 2. So it seems like your main concern is... Restate concern. Did I capture that correctly? So it seems like your main concern is... Restate concern. Did I capture that correctly? 3. In other words, you believe that restate belief. Is that a fair summary of your perspective? In other words, you believe that restate belief. Is that a fair summary of your perspective? 4. From what you've shared, it appears that restate observation. Is that in line with your thoughts? From what you've shared, it appears that restate observation. Is that in line with your thoughts? 5. To make sure I've got this right, you're proposing that we restate proposal. Is that what you meant? To make sure I've got this right, you're proposing that we restate proposal. Is that what you meant? Now, let's move on to summarizing. Here are some useful phrases to help you summarize key points and takeaways in your business conversations. 1. To sum up our discussion, we've identified main points as crucial factors in our decision-making process. To sum up our discussion, we've identified main points as crucial factors in our decision-making process. 2. In conclusion, we've agreed on the following action steps. List action steps. In conclusion, we've agreed on the following action steps. List action steps. 3. Based on our conversation, the key takeaways are main points. Let's keep these in mind as we move forward. Based on our conversation, the key takeaways are main points. Let's keep these in mind as we move forward. 4. Overall, it seems our main areas of focus should be main points. Overall, it seems that our main areas of focus should be main points. 5. As a quick recap, we've explored main points and agreed to decision or next steps. As a quick recap, we've explored main points and agreed to decisions or next steps. By incorporating paraphrasing and summarizing into your business interactions, you can ensure that everyone involved has a clear understanding of the discussion and its outcomes. This can help prevent misunderstandings, streamline decision making, and foster more effective communication. So, with these techniques under your belt, you're now ready to tackle our final section in our Communicate Not Interrogate series, where we'll discuss the importance of balancing inquiry and advocacy in your professional conversations. So, here in our final section, we'll discuss the importance of balancing inquiry and advocacy in our professional conversations. So, to define the terms here, inquiry is the process of asking questions, seeking information, and exploring different perspectives. On the flip side, advocacy involves presenting your own ideas, opinions, and suggestions. Both of these approaches are essential for effective communication, but striking the right balance between them is crucial to ensure that everyone feels heard and respected in a business setting. So, let's go through some phrases that can help you balance inquiry and advocacy in your professional interactions. 1. While I understand the concerns you've raised, I also believe that there are potential benefits to your suggestion. What are your thoughts on this? While I understand the concerns you've raised, I also believe that there are potential benefits to your suggestion. What are your thoughts on this? 2. I appreciate your perspective on this issue. Here's another angle to consider. Your idea? How do you feel this would fit into our current approach? I appreciate your perspective on this issue. Here's another angle to consider. Your idea? How do you feel this would fit into our current approach? 3. I see where you're coming from, but I have some concerns about Specific issue. Can we explore possible alternatives that might address this concern? I see where you're coming from, but I have some concerns about specific issue. Can we explore possible alternatives that might address this concern? Four. Your idea has merit, and I'd like to add to it by suggesting your addition. How do you think that this would complement your initial proposal? Your idea has merit, and I'd like to add to it by suggesting your addition. How do you think this would complement your initial proposal? Five. It's interesting to hear your thoughts on this. I've been considering your idea as another option. Can we discuss the pros and cons of both approaches? It's interesting to hear your thoughts on this. I've been considering your idea as another option. Can we discuss the pros and cons of both approaches? By using these phrases, you demonstrate your willingness to listen and engage with other perspectives whilst also confidently expressing your own ideas and opinions. This balanced approach to communicate creates an open and collaborative environment, allowing for more productive and successful business interactions. Now that we've covered the various techniques and phrases to help you communicate effectively in business English without making it feel like an interrogation, I wanted to provide a quick sweep up of the entire series, summarizing each of the 5 key elements and provide one of the key phrases from each section to help you remember at least one. So, here is a quick summary of the 5 sections. In section 1, we talked about understanding the difference between interrogative and conversational approaches. A key phrase to remember here is, "Can you walk me through the thought process behind choosing this approach?" This encourages open dialogue rather than making the other person feel defensive. In section 2, we focused on the power of open-ended questions and active listening. A useful phrase from this section is, "I see, that's an interesting point. How do you think that would impact our current strategy?" This demonstrates genuine interest and encourages further discussion. In section 3, we discussed building rapport and showing empathy. One important phrase to help connect with others is, "I can imagine how difficult that must have been for you. Thank you for sharing your experience with me." This acknowledges and validates their feelings, creating a supportive atmosphere. In section 4, we explored the techniques of paraphrasing and summarizing for better understanding and clarity. A helpful paraphrasing phrase is, "If I understood correctly, you're suggesting that we restate suggestion. Is that accurate?" This ensures you've grasped their message correctly and fosters clear communication. And in section 5, we covered the importance of balancing inquiry and advocacy. A key phrase to maintain the balance is, "While I understand the concerns you've raised, I also believe that there are potential benefits to your suggestion. What are your thoughts on this?" This demonstrates openness to different perspectives, whilst also sharing your own ideas. As you continue to apply these techniques and phrases in your professional interactions, you'll notice a marked improvement in the quality of your conversations and the overall atmosphere of your business environment. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode of the Business English Podcast. We've covered a lot of ground in the past 2 episodes, discussing practical techniques and phrases to help you communicate more effectively and avoid turning your professional interactions into interrogations. Remember, mastering these skills takes practice, so we encourage you to apply these techniques and phrases in your day-to-day business interactions. As you continue to improve your communication skills, you'll find that your professional relationships and overall presence in the workplace will be positively impacted. Thank you for joining us on this journey to better communication in business English. If you found the episode useful, please share it with your colleagues and friends who might also benefit from these tips. Don't forget to subscribe to the Business English Podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes designed to help you succeed in the world of global business. If you have any questions or suggestions for future topics, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach out through our website, social media channels, or by leaving a comment on your preferred podcast platform. It's been a pleasure guiding you through this mini-series, and until next time, keep it strictly business. You have been listening to the Business English Podcast. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and we'll see you next time.